The TARP is not in isolation. I mean, we started off and set the precedence with the bailout of Freddie and Fannie. Now, we're not bailing out Freddie and Fannie. We're actually administering loan by loan, or are we doing an umbrella package there?
On, excuse me, sir, on the institutions or the mortgages?
The institutions.
The institutions, again, we're buying preferred stock in the institutions to stabilize the institutions, and the taxpayers have warrants on 79.9%.
So is there any reason why we should be surprised that when we got to the TARP, you didn't take the same strategy?
Our strategy evolved as conditions changed. And so when Fannie and Freddie, again, they deteriorated very quickly through July and August, and that bold act, the Secretary came to the Congress to ask for that authority. The Congress provided it, and he took very bold action with Chairman Bernanke and with Mr. Lockhart to stabilize them. Similarly, we led with an asset purchase program because in our judgment at the time, that was the best way to help the financial system, but market conditions deteriorated so quickly, we again had to move with equity first.
Okay, when you talk about the financial system, are we talking now that we're not going to pick and choose, we're going to get into Bank of America and credit card companies?
You mean, forgive me, with respect to what Secretary Paulson talked about on Wednesday in terms of consumer credit and making it available? That's a program that we're developing with the Federal Reserve to get credit flowing directly to consumers, whether it's credit cards or it's auto loans or student loans, potentially mortgages as well.
So we are talking about moving into that field?
We're looking at it as a way, because right now what's happened is the markets have frozen, and so credit card rates are going through the roof, auto loan rates are going through the roof, and it's impacting families directly, and that's impacting our economy as a whole. And so we're looking at a program that could unfreeze that market to get credit flowing again.
So we're talking about the possibility of a 2% federal loan to American Express?
No, that program would be structured where, much like the Federal Reserve has set up a facility to get the commercial paper market going again,
yeah,
it's not directly going to the banks or the lenders of the commercial paper, the issuers. It's just getting the market working again. We do something similar here to get the liquidity going in the asset-backed market, so the credit card market, the auto loan market. This would help all of our auto dealers. It would help the auto companies. It would help all of the retail industry that relies on the credit card business to work. Right now, as I think the chairman said, you know, credit card rates are being increased right now in large part because these markets are broken.
22% is a nice little.
It's a big number. And so let's take a step back, if you'll permit me. We have the banking financial sector and the non-banking sector. The banking sector provides about 60% of credit in our economy, the non-banking about 40%. Our initial actions have now stabilized the banking sector, and we feel good about that. There's more work to be done. But the non-banking sector is now frozen. And so we're looking at what actions we can take to get that working again.
Okay, let's talk about, we're always going after the federal, you know, the taxpayers' money is the only way we can be able to interject and save the economy, whatever. There was a whole discussion about $500 billion of American assets overseas that could come back if we held it harmless, the repatriation issue. Have you been following what the IRS did with the grace period for repatriated funds?
Forgive me, Congressman, not closely.
Well, they went from, they increased it from 6 months to 10 months.
Okay.
You have any idea why they would do that?
Honestly, sir, no. I'm just not focused on those issues. I'm spending 100% of my time executing the TARP.
Okay. I just, you know, Mr. Chairman, I just think that, you know, we need to take a look at it, and I think the IRS was on to something, and that is, it's always quick to use taxpayers' money to be able to go in there, and we're actually taking money that's coming out of our general fund to go after this, but we wouldn't hold harmless private money coming in from out of the country and investing back here because we want our pound of flesh. And now the IRS has recognized that by at least extending the grace period, because they see there's a huge amount of asset that, you know, and to be blunt with you, as somebody who's worked with the federal government since 1976, I mean, the chairman and I were elected, the council and the mayors together back in '78. The federal government does not manage assets very efficient at all. I'll tell you, that's one of our biggest frustrations those of us in local government have. But the fact is that this thing's going to come back to bite us when we could allow private sector funds to get in there and try to get involved if we just didn't want to take our pound of flesh and drag it into Washington, D.C.
Well, Congressman, not only I completely agree with you, and some of our plans are designed specifically to attract private capital to come in, because we don't think the taxpayers should do all of this themselves. The private sector should be encouraged to do that. And one of the things that the Secretary talked about on Wednesday was a potential capital program that involved a matching component. If a firm went and raised $1 of equity, that the government would provide some kind of matching as a carrot to go get the private capital coming back in our system. So we agree 100% with the spirit of that.
You know, let me tell you, as one member, I saw the bailout of Freddie and Fannie come up and said, oh, this will take care of it. Then we take care of that. And all I've seen Washington, including the administration, talk about is how we're going to spend taxpayers' money, not how we're really reforming the process. We did the bank, we did the guarantees on the deposit insurance. That was a step. But that's a very small step compared to a whole lot of other stuff that we have not gone back and touched base on. I mean, we haven't even redefined mark-to-market yet. We're not even talking about that anymore. That's sort of left behind, and don't worry about it. But I think there's some major issues that we need to talk about, and the administration's only talking about how we're going to spend the taxpayers' money, not about how we're going to avoid it. And this is one of those things, as a father, if one of my children came in and said, Dad, I'm deep in debt, I need you to bail me out, the first thing I'd do is not write a check. It'd be asked for the credit cards. And we're not even asking for the credit cards. We're not asking for the reforms. We're basically just, again, writing a lot of checks.
Well, Congressman, I share your frustration. Our energy is focused on stabilizing the financial system, but there are profound regulatory and structural questions that we as a country have to ask and answer in the near future. What to do with Fannie and Freddie, what role the government should play in mortgage finance going forward. What we've done in the case of Fannie and Freddie, which were on the verge of collapse, is to stabilize them, to buy us all time, so we as a country and the Congress and the next administration can have that debate and make a thoughtful decision. But we needed to stabilize the system. And that's what our actions have been focused on. And, you know, we're all frustrated by how many actions we've had to take. We don't want to do these kind of actions, but we've needed to stabilize the system. But we need to have that thoughtful discussion so we don't get here again in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, somewhere down the line, we're going to have to talk about who has actually been subsidized on this. Well, you've got foreign nationals, you've got people that are not legally present in the United States, you've got people that, I have a constituent that cries about a home being lost when it's their 7th home that has, you know, has 2 or 3 homes that have used the system. You had people that have leveraged this, and then you have the innocent people that basically are just trying to play by the rules. And somewhere down the line, I think the American people are going to ask us to separate these groups and make sure that our resources are going to those who deserve to be helped on this game.
I do not want to put an institution at risk by revealing supervisory confidential information.
Are you invoking your constitutional privilege?
No, sir.
Since you're not, you're saying that you cannot tell this committee what actually went on.